My name is HW.
Hey, I'm the Seuss.
Suze, I hear a lot of people talking about the price of the new Kemper Player unit.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And a lot of people are saying, it's too high. It's higher than the Tonex.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying, it's too low. No one's saying
No
that.
one's saying that. I was like, hold on.
No one's saying that. The Kemper's saying that. It's too low.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think it's an interesting kind of complaint. One thing I think is people complain about everything.
It's true.
So there's almost no price that could be too low.
Right.
And the people who don't like the unit always say it's not worth it.
Uh-huh.
But how does it compare to some of the other units out there? One thing I noticed, Suze, it's priced $1 cheaper than a brand new HX Stomp.
I did notice that too.
Isn't that interesting?
That's pretty great.
I'm guessing that's so when you go on one of the big music stores and you go sort by
Or Reverb or whatever
yeah,
it is.
when you go sort by
price.
Yeah, sort by price, it'll come up first.
Yeah.
You know, $1 less.
Uh-huh.
That's
So that $699 is the Stomp, the HX Stomp.
yeah. So the Stomp moved up to $699. I think a lot of people always have in their head that the Stomp is like $400. That's like what it launched at, or like $450 or something.
Totally.
It's $699. It recently went up. A lot of retailers have it at $649. They'll advertise like a $50 drop.
Okay.
And I would imagine that will stop once they clear out some of the Stomp inventory they probably bought at the older price.
Okay.
I'm guessing because I
Okay.
noticed
it'll catch up. Yeah.
But, yeah, they priced it $1. Similar functionality, right? I mean, it's you could use it. It's an amp replacement with effects built in,
Right.
a bunch of effects. Tonex though at $399.
I think so.
Yeah, $499. John, check. Is it $399 or $499 for Tonex? Is it priced too high? What do you think?
Well, I think we had a conversation earlier about the effects. I think the effects are what makes it worth it. You know,
Right.
if it's just an amp replacement, like
Yeah.
if they had gone away with
$399. $399.
okay, for Tonex. So if they had gone for Tonex, speaking of Tonex, if they had gone for just amps, like
Yeah.
we gave you profiles and you can put them on your board, but there's no other effects at $399, that would have been incredible. But they're not competing with the Tonex; they're competing with the HX Stomp, which is sort of like an all-in.
Yeah,
You know, you could almost use this by itself. Like
yes, no, absolutely, you could. It's sort of how it feels to me. Is you've got like amp solutions, Iridium, ACS1,
Walrus,
Tonex, the 60,
the UA stuff.
UA. I was thinking 65.
Yeah,
Green
just
and that.
amps.
Just amps. This pedal just does amps. And then you've got sort of the next tier above that in terms of functionality, which is like the HX Stomp.
Right.
Now it's amps and effects. Kind of, and really they're like the little brother units to a bigger unit.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit, you know what else is like this? Is the Boss GT1000 Core. They took most of what's in all their other effects and put it in just a smaller box unit.
Totally.
There's not enough switches on it. There's not enough stuff, but it can do stuff.
Yeah.
So you can kind of use it however you want. I personally think at $699, whatever it is, $700, you know, American, dude, it's pretty killer. I think
it's a great price.
I actually think a lot of people who would buy a Kemper or buy a Stage would actually be fine with this. And so those people, instead of paying $16.99, are going to pay this price.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's already a lot of people who are working in pedals and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Kemper has only offered like the top Mac Daddy products, you know, the Stage, the toaster, the rack.
Yeah.
They do it all.
Yeah.
You know, but I think this under $1,000 is going to bring in all sorts of new customers into Kemper that have been, actually a buddy of mine, really good friend of mine, sent me a screenshot of the release and said, this is a game changer.
Yeah.
He's never owned a Kemper. He might now because he can get all the sounds I've been getting for under $1,000. Like that's killer, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's I get what people are saying. I mean, what is the used price going to be? Because some people are going to, all gear is going to get flipped, right?
That's true.
So at $700, you think you can pick this up for $500? Think you can pick it up for $550?
Maybe, yeah,
I think
maybe
so.
one day. Yeah.
I mean, I think so. Like in the not so distant future.
Yeah.
These are shipping. They're shipping a bunch of them, and we get into February, March.
Yeah.
In the gear world, this will be ancient news. You know, this will be like, oh yeah, I remember. Like it's a newer product, but you know they'll still be selling a lot, but there'll be people flipping it. It'll probably go for, but it's probably going to settle down there
calm
at
down.
the sub $600 price used.
Yeah, this almost reminds me of a shrunken down stage, not like a Tonex or a whatever. It's like if you don't need all of the buttons of the stage, or you use or another friend of mine texted me, he's like, I only use 2 performances or 2 slots.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, dude, there you go. Like, if you don't need 8 effects and all this stuff, you just need good sounding amps and delay, reverb.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I have 5 rigs and a performance. 90% of the time, I play 3 rigs.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I
Totally,
don't
me
go
too.
to the other ones.
Yeah, I'm on 3 or 4 sounds all day.
Yeah, and then if I'm going to add in other pedals, some of those other rigs are redundant because I'm adding trems and mods. If I conceivably put those in pedals on my pedal board.
Yeah.
So I think when you're like looking at the price here, it feels like to me, if you judge it like for what it is, this feels like they priced it competitive with a competitor in the market.
Yeah, it's just right. Yeah.
It's at that like effects and amp, not just an amp thing.
Totally.
And it seems intentional.
Which I'll add, I mean, I would love to see that one day, you know, a true Tonex competitor. You know, because that's just my opinion. Like how I use my gear is if it's going to go on a pedal board, I want to use all my overdrives, delay, reverb. I have it all on the board. Right. It just needs an amp.
Right.
You know, and so that's why I like the Tonex so much because it sits where
it's just that.
An Iridium would or a Walrus ACS1 would.
Touche. What's like we've looked at your board. You like about the MS3, the Boss MS3.
Yeah.
What?
It's a catch-all.
It has extra effects.
Yeah.
And it's like,
more.
it doesn't take, it's a switcher.
Yeah.
But it also has some cool Boss effects. And then it's like, or the HX Stomp. We always say it's about the HX Stomp. It's like, oh, it's cool because I may not buy a tremolo pedal. I may not need tremolo all the time. I may not need this vibrato all the time.
Yeah.
But if I want it, it's right there.
It's true. I'm more thinking like if I had a board with a timeline, Big Sky, Timmy, some fuzzes I liked, and I put a stomp on it.
So basically your board.
Yeah. If I have my board with a stomp in the middle,
right.
that wouldn't make sense because it's like I'm going to turn the delays off because I have the timeline. I'm going to turn the reverbs off because I got the Big Sky. And it starts to become less and less important that I even have effects on it at all because I've got overdrives, I've got a bunch.
Right.
And so really what I want that unit to be is just amps.
This is interesting. No one's making you turn it on, but the fact that it's there makes you feel like
I'm paying for it. That's my whole point. As if I could not pay for those effects and have it be cheaper and just 2 amps, that would be the Kemper product for my board, I think.
Right.
I'm going to get this, I'm going to use it. It's going to be great.
Right.
But, yeah.
Do you think, can I ask you a question though? Do you think this is why we haven't seen a Line 6 product at this price point adjust the amps?
Oh yeah. Like the amp one we talked about.
So I think practically when we say like you're paying for it, I don't think they can actually buy a cheaper chipset and limit it. Like it's not like they've got a dial that they can go like the lower I go, the cheaper it gets to like manufacture. Like I don't know that they can actually knock off the effects and take off 20% on the price.
Interesting.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't know how what goes into that.
And
but
the reason I would say that is the same reason like that the HX Stomp has less blocks. Basically, they have capacity. They can fill up what capacity is there. There may not be a chip available that's slightly less capacity and slightly cheaper. Like maybe it's another family of chip or it's another chip that won't actually run the thing. So like the HX Stomp or you see it's like in Fractal stuff. The way that the effects are partitioned are done so that you don't max out the unit, the FM3, the FM9, or like in the HX Stomp, you know, you run out. It's just the one line.
Right.
And so if you use more of one effect, you run out. If you use more of another effect, you run out. I would imagine with the Kemper, a practical issue they've run into is, okay, whatever we're using here, we have more than enough for the profiling, but we may not have more than enough to run all our verbs and 4 effects. And so they've sectioned out 4 effects because you'll notice there's no ability on this unit to max out the effects and only run 3 effects.
Oh, right.
Which means every effect they have has to fit in this bucket of DSP.
You could run 4 of the biggest one.
You can run 4 of everything in the unit.
Yeah.
So because of that, we're not getting all those reverbs and delays. So I just wonder from a practical standpoint, you know, can a manufacturer actually take away 10% of the functionality and make it 10% cheaper? It probably doesn't quite work out that way. Also, cost cutting, probably why we don't have a screen.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Agreed. Yeah.
And to me, that also makes it kind of a little bit of a future-proof unit. If you're okay with not having a screen, well, then the screen will never be outdated.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
They learned their lesson, right? Yeah.
But yeah, and it can scale up with your phone or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So question on that. So with the HX Stomp, going from that unit to the HX1, all of that money saved is a smaller unit, but is it because it doesn't do amps? Is that the hungriest DSP part of it?
Okay, what's in the HX1? There's no screen. I don't know. Dude, I don't know how much DSP is actually in that thing. I know they've positioned that HX1 pedal to be the effects pedal for people who don't use multi-effects. And Line 6 said this because their research showed that a lot of people will not entertain multi-effects. And so they didn't put, I'm not sure about this. I'm just going to make a judgment call. I think not putting in the amps into that form factor is more about having a clear message to consumers about what this does. But I don't know. It might actually be less DSP.
Yeah.
But how much they took away the amps? That's a big deal.
Yeah.
How much cheaper did that unit end up being?
Is it half? Is it $299?
No, John. What's an HX1? Okay, $299.
Yeah.
So half.
Yeah, I mean,
you think that's the screen? You think there's a lot less DSP?
The
amps must eat up all the DSP.
Yeah, that's the whole reason I ask. Is like I'm imagining this no effects, bare bones, just runs profiles pedal. What would I want that price to be? I would want it to compete with Tone X. Just like I think the Player competes with the Stomp.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
I don't know. I'm stoked with the pedal. I'm stoked with the price. I think it's going to be great on a pedal board.
Yeah. I instantly bought 2 because I figured why not.
It's a killer release.
And maybe I'll do stereo, like stereo amps. One amp this way, one amp that way.
Mm-hmm.
But probably not.
Yeah, knowing you.
Yeah.